I had been out and about with her chickens for a couple of days, and I thought it was time to dispose of the extra eggs, and I normally bury them under a fruit tree or put them in the compost. And as I was doing this, I found a little chicken squished in between the brooder and a piece of wood. I held it in my hands and all I could think of was rigor mortis from my anatomy and physiology class. It was so stiff, but I waited and it didn't pass away as expected. So I took it inside and it wasn't doing well, but we propped its head forward and a few days later she had made a full recovery. Meet Amy. We tried to put her back with her family a couple of times, but she was not interested.
I love you, Amy.
Unfortunately, the brooder that we made had fleas burrowing into it, so we had to get rid of it.
Yes, there's the poo bin.
I used to have seaweed and weeds fermenting in here with water, but now that we have the concrete floor in the coop, I can sweep that up quite easily, and I include that chicken manure in the bin as well. When I found Amy on the table one afternoon, I realised it was probably time for her to start spending some time in the orchard. So she would go there during the day and she would still spend the nights inside with us. After some exposure, Amy is officially in the orchard full-time at this point and has decided to be a duck, not a chicken. She's even had a successful swim. Had a particularly rough start to winter. One storm in particular saw 100mm of rainfall in a short period of time, with flooding, strong winds, power outages and road closures. We diverted the water away from the house and garden the previous year, but the intensity of that diverted water to a small opening created a collapse of the surrounding ground. We were so lucky it followed a small indent, because if that dirt was to go directly down the hill, it would have gone straight through the orchard. structure was only meant to be temporary, but we decided to enclose the area permanently as we had a holiday coming up. This way it would be easier when we had someone taking care of them, as the ducks wouldn't mess up the chicken water feeder. Plus it would also prevent little chickens drowning in the future, because unfortunately it has happened a few times now. The ducks still roam around the orchard, but we just close the gate when we need to. We made a gate for a quarter the price of what it would have cost for one pre-made. Plus it's a lot sturdier and looks a lot better. I had 2 spaces left for fruit trees. One was my final attempt at a citrus tree, though first time in here in the orchard. But being on an old pine plantation that is so exposed to the elements has definitely had its challenges. And the other was a pink lady apple, which we'd been searching for quite some time. The Weedy Garden channel has a very informative video on the Ellen White method to planting fruit trees, which is really insightful. I'll link that below. She was a prolific writer from America in the 1800s and moved to an Australian property where the soil was very depleted. She required fruitful trees for survival, and one night had a vision on how to achieve a flourishing orchard, and the rest is history. It's very interesting. For now, I hadn't had a chance to mulch and remulch everything else, so I'm just using my method to keep the chooks out, which is pots half filled with chicken manure that acts as a slow release fertiliser. When springtime comes, I'm going to do the remaining fruit trees because there are some termites living under the wood. Whenever I find a cluster of white ants in the orchard, I just turn the wood upside down and allow the chickens to go in there to eat them all up. When we put up the new gate, the ducks got into this little garden and really enjoyed the mint, but also compacted the bed. So here I'm using the remaining strong chicken wire from the perimeter of the orchard, so the herbs will grow through the holes for them to eat, but should also protect the plants. duck feeders we made needed some protection from the rain right before we left for our holiday up north. And the females started laying eggs, but not in the house. It was so good to get back to the orchard after a few weeks away. The ducks had figured out where to lay their eggs, but next video will include making a comfortable laying spot for them and also installing hinges on the house for easy egg collection.
Watching. See you on the next video.